Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm gonna go over basics of UV mapping, and I'm gonna use this model here that a student was nice enough to share for demonstration. All right, so for UV mapping, typically you want to be in modeling menu over here, in case if you're not. And before that, it's good to see that your transforms are frozen, cleaned out, okay? And there's no history, right? Everything's clean. All right. So this is how everything looks like at low poly, okay? All right, so no history and no transformation data, no grouping, right, for now. Actually, grouping is okay, as long as the group doesn't have anything crazy going on. All right, so first, let's introduce you to the UV editor. So, one, two, three, four, fifth one to the last, UV editor. Oh, I'm gonna crack this open here. All right, so don't mind me. I'm just trying to have everything where it's default. So this is how it looks like by default. It was docked over here for a moment because when I was doing some work on the side, but so typically it should be kind of floating here. Okay, so this is your grid, and this is your toolkit column. Okay, with a whole bunch of other icons and tools. And for our purpose, we will only use a couple. Oh, before we even do that, I want us to, I'm gonna hide Necro, Lilypad, Keyprop. Look at your model, alright, and look inside of it, okay? Make sure to look inside of your model. Lighting, use all lights. Alright, so lighting, use default lighting, okay? And look for strange things going on, like this, okay? Look inside of your model all around, like your neck area, anywhere where there's like limbs or just anything in general, look inside of it, right? And look for things like this, where you have faces inside of it, okay? This will cause havoc to your model, right? Like UV mapping everything, right? So delete these. You'll also know them. Well, it doesn't show here, but yeah, just look for these and delete these. Several students have already had these issues, and I couldn't figure out what was going on because I was just looking on the outside. This was during UV mapping, so just delete these, right? Just look for them carefully, delete them. They're just basically faces that are extruded inside. Don't ask me how that happened. All I know is that it seems to be a common occurrence. So do that, first of all. Next, you should have everything on layers and have everything labeled. Because for now, I'm just gonna hide that. And I'm going to hide the lily pad and that. This, I'm gonna also put that on a layer. Okay. So here we back are. Here we are again. All right. And I'm just gonna minimize my channel box for now, so I only see this. Okay, now we grab it. Here's a UV editor, right? You'll notice it's a whole mess. The reason why you have all these lines is because there's no information that tells us how his skin is gonna look like. Right, so UV map is basically a skin, and the UV map is it looks very similar to this is the UVs, okay? Very similar to vertices, alright? It looks similar, but the color is different. It's like this strange brownish color, okay? Versus vertices, which is more pink-ish, purple pink-ish. Alright, so right click, UV, UV. Right click, UV, UV shell. Right, these are the shells which we will discuss. You will be creating shells, and the shells will be laid out as a filleted skin. Okay, and yeah. So here, and like in UVs, as a model, the UVs can be selected as the UVs. Okay, the dots, right? You could be selected as edges as well. Okay. Alright. Mainly in the UV mode, right? You'll be selecting and manipulating UVs, the shells, either the UV, the UV dots, or the edges, mainly. Okay, which will happen right now. And the whole point of all of this is to make a skin for it, because it needs a skin, and you know, texture mapping, all that. And this thing here, this is your 0 to 1 grid. Okay, you see this? You see how it's tiling, right? But just pay attention in here, the center, and you'll know it's the center because naturally everything will want to go into here, which I should show right now. So you grab your mesh, make sure it's in object mode. Okay, make sure it's in object mode. Make sure yeah, and then from here we're gonna make sure this is on right here, this one, right? Only that and that. This shows your grid, and this is just on by default, shows your lines, your UV lines. Okay, don't click on these yet, they will just confuse you. Now let's go under create. Okay, so you have all this stuff going on. All we need to do is use something called camera based projection. We will project a shell, a UV shell, based on what the camera sees. Okay, so like this, something like this is fine. Okay, so you can see this, the limbs and the head and the body. Okay, I don't recommend doing something like this because you can kind of hide the feet, right? Not that it really matters, but for learning purposes, you kind of want to do this for now. You can see everything. Then you can just do your camera based selection. Right? You can close everything else. If you have all this open, I suggest you close them. It's going to be overwhelming to look at and confusing. Only have your create tab open and camera based, select it and click it, and boom. So this is your camera based UV projection. It's projecting data, right? UV shell data, UV edges, not UV dots, data, lines, everything into here, into this grid. This is your 0 to 1 grid. This, in simple English, is your real estate, your canvas where you'll be working on. Do not go outside. You can later, but for this exercise and learning segment, we will just stick inside. Okay. Later on, you will break rules, but that's for different situations. Like for making quick and dirty artwork kind of stuff. But in here, we're just gonna put it in here, 0 to 1 space. And this is where you will do your UV snapshot. UV snapshot is basically, you'll save out an image with just the lines as a image file, and you bring it to Photoshop and do your texture painting and coordinate with the wireframe that gets made. Anyway, so here it is. Okay, over here, see how it's corresponding. Now I want to cut out the head. I want the head as its own little shell, and after it's made as a shell, you're gonna further manipulate so it's filleted out. So you'll see what I mean by that. So make sure you are in edges mode. Right click edge, and I'm gonna just cut out this section. I want to double click. See what I did? Double click. And typically you want to have symmetry off for now. Right? Double click. Make sure you go all around. The key point is you go all the way around. If it doesn't, if it kind of off tracks, then you just have to deal with it, where if it goes up like this, or if it diverts it, you just follow the best path you think. Or hopefully you have one way around. Edge loop. Then you can just go in your UV editor here, hold on shift, hold on right mouse button as well, shift and right mouse button, I repeat, and hold it, and you're gonna do cut, and it looks like nothing happened, right? I mean, I pressed 1 and 3 right now, so that's just me, to show that it looks like nothing happened even when you press 3. So what happens now? Then let's just close create. Let's open our selection tab. In your selection tab, only thing you're gonna look at, because you can get, you know, overwhelmed, just click on that. This is basically selecting your UV shell, or I like to call it selecting as chunks. See that? And it highlights. Select it as a chunk. Okay, and you can grab it, and here it is. Here's your first shell, right? So terminology is that this is a shell, this is a shell, right here. And let's say you get kind of tired of grabbing like this, it's highlighting, it's annoying. You can just go, you know, click one of these. This is like a UV dot mode, edge mode, and complete mass shell mode. Faces. This is faces. This is just again UV selection, and then this and this is more or less the same. Oh wait, this is vertex mode, and this is edge mode, face mode. This is UV true UV dot mode, and this is the UV shell mode. So just make it as UV dots for now, because I get annoyed with that highlighted in red. So anyway, here you go. Now you have to fillet it, you know, you have to lay it all out, but you can't lay it out. For example, let's say I grab all of this, right? I'm in UV dots, okay, which is that one right there, or you can go right click UV, right? 2 different ways, and then I'm gonna close my selection, and something called unfold, I'm gonna open that, and then to lay out the skin. But if you try to lay out the skin, oh, it does lay out the skin, but it lays it out in a strange way. It looks strange when you do that, okay? Right, so basically this is the face, eyes, mouth, and this isn't exactly the best way to lay it out, okay? So again, I did the unfold, all right? What you do want to do is I'm gonna undo for now because I just want to show that. So this is filleting, but it's not the best. Okay, so I undid all of that, and now we're back to the shell. Now I'm gonna right click and hold and choose edge. Yeah, I hovered over him, press edge, or over here you can go edge as well. And I want to make a seam. I'm gonna cut from here. Hold on, I click left click and I go around up to here, and then I'm gonna hold down shift and it turns into a plus sign. I'm gonna double click. Okay, so I'm gonna cut around here, and then yeah, I'm gonna cut like that. The reason why is that it's a seam and it's at the back of the head, so it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. If I cut like that, yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna cut right down the middle from here. So I am in edge mode. I only selected those edges. Shift, and here I'm gonna shift right click, cut. Okay, again, looks like nothing happened, but it's fine. And then I'm gonna grab all of that. Okay, you could either be in edge mode, it's fine. You could be in UV mode, which I press right click. Okay, all right, and then I'm gonna go unfold, and it does that. You may have a error, right? Mine doesn't show an error, but you may have an error, something about non-manifold geometry or triangles or something. It's gonna ask you, do you want it to be corrected? Something along those lines. Just right now it's not showing on mine. You just say yes, and it'll do it for you, and it'll just unfold it. Just say yes, basically, if and when you see that error. Okay. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. I don't understand why. I'm just letting you know it is there. Yeah. And then when you unfold it, right, which is again this one over here, you could sometimes just do optimize, and it just relaxes it. I did it once, I'll do it one more time. So that's twice. And see, it kind of opens up again, until it just doesn't. So you could do that too, you know. As you can see, it lays it out. And over here is when there's going to be some stretching. Okay, so for example, I'm in face mode. I selected this, and let's see this. See, so the proportion seems to be okay, but here is some stretching. See that? Right here, it's gonna stretch when you look at the face, right? Or it's gonna skew or squash a little bit of that. You can't help it. Okay, so we did that, the face. So next thing is what else? Now for the limbs. Okay, I press 3 right now to show you. If you press 3, you should not see any strange errors, any weird looking, just anything that looks strange. You should not see that when you press 3. If you do, look inside. If anything is okay, if there's any inward faces, okay. Also check to see if you have any double edges or double vertices, right? The way you check that is select your components that look strange to you and look at to see how many vertices there are. You know, if it's only should be 1, right? But if it says 2, that means you got a problem. whether it be vertices or edges. Anyway, I needed to go off track for a bit. So from here, now let's just do the hands, right? So the proper procedure is you need to cut it out from here. And I'm gonna look for area to cut out. So maybe here. I gotta be in edge mode. Double click. Okay. So it looks like I only went up to here. So I'm gonna go around and double click. So I can grab as much as I can. And look what it did. See, this is a good example where it doesn't link up. Right, you see that? Boom, 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 it ends there. So it's not the best, okay? In situations like this, you typically want to go in and just try to use your cut tool and just to cut and force it, perhaps, you know? So you can use a multi-cut tool and so cut here and then cut here. Yeah. So I think I'll do that. This is a good example. If you end up like this, where it kind of spirals out, then, like I said, usually you want to go in and just modify it a bit. And it's okay, because the arm has nothing to do with the face. You know, it won't mess up the face. If you had to go and cut the face, adding more multi-cut tool, then that's a different issue. But for now, I want to fix this. So I'm going to go, I'm in object mode, shift right click, multi-cut tool. And so if I remember correctly, it ended here. So it started here and it came out here. So maybe I'm going to try to go here. Oh, come on, buddy, just give me a break. Here. That. And then I'm going to... What the hell? Why are you doing this, dude? Alright. It's acting up funny. I also want to turn on my symmetry. Okay, so I can make sure the other side gets updated. So anyway, so here was the issue, right? I double click and I wrap around, double click, and like I said, it opens out here, and I'm gonna go and try to relink it. Yeah, so multi-cut tool, option box. I'll turn off snapping for now, and see, it went up to here and bump, 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 bump. So maybe I'm just gonna go here, here, and here. Now it's gonna relink that. Okay. But then I have this issue. I'm gonna slide it. Control Shift right click, transform constraint, edge slide. I'm gonna slide it. Oh, this is nasty. Shift right click, merge vertices, target weld. And just do some touch ups. Anyway, so if I do double click, okay, it went up to here, double click, double click, double click. So now it, you know, it's a dirty way of wrapping around, but it does wrap around, okay? At least it's not spiring out. And this stuff, it's annoying to look at. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna mess with it. If I mess with it, I'm gonna just burn through more time. So this at least shows, you know, to go in and touch it up, you know, and what to look for, you know, for your organic model. I want to do that over there. Cut, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I should leave it alone. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. So I did that. So here we are, right? I'm gonna do shift right click, cut. Alright. Over here it says result polymap cut 3. This is where it shows you what happened. This is your command line. And then now I'm gonna go to back to my selection tool to grab it in chunks, and I'm gonna turn off my symmetry. Grab it. Ooh, I have slide on as well. Damn it. Control Shift right click. Okay, or over here, Control Shift right click, select. Wait, no. Control Shift right click and transform constraints. You have to move it down quickly. Off. Okay. So turn off that edge slide. Here, grab that, here. So now we have shells, right? But you don't want shells. You want it to be, you want the shell, but you want to cut it open to fillet it better. So usually, again, seam line, maybe underneath. I want to turn that off. Maybe go to edge mode. Oh, no, edge mode. Right click edge. See updates. So, like for example, this could be one, like here. I can go up to maybe up to here. Or maybe up to here. Yeah. So I'm imagining if it gets filleted. So I'm gonna go with dot, click, and then up to here, click. So it kind of goes up to like that, and then up to here. So you have to just kind of experiment. Alright. So that's for this one, okay? You see the corresponding lines, right? This is this represented in a 2D look. Anyway, so I selected those edges, shift right click, cut. And let's just experiment to see how it would fillet. I'm gonna grab all of that. Right now I selected in UV dots. I'm gonna close my selection and I'm gonna go to unfold and unfold. Yeah, it's not the best. It looks kind of weird. So this is that. Yeah, it's not the best actually. I thought I could get away with it, but I mean it's okay. So let me just select these faces so I can get an idea as to what the hell I'm looking at. Oh, you see this right here? It got kind of jacked up. Right, so I'm just looking at what we're looking at. Alright, so I mean, see all of this? Right? So this is okay, like that. So this, so it flayed it open, okay, nothing is overlapping. What you want to avoid is anything that kind of overlaps. That's what I'm looking for. And you can look for things that overlap by clicking here. This second one, anything in blue means that it's okay. There's no overlapping UV skin. This is bad. All of this is overlapping. All of that. All of that is overlapping. This is not overlapping. I'm just looking over here. This section is kind of squished. I want to turn this off. I'm getting annoyed with that. So just click that. Okay, so this and this. This is for looking for problems. This is for just normal view. And then if you want to see your seams, right, it's this right here, this guy right here. That shows your seams. And it also shows on the 3D model, your seam lines. These are your seam lines. They're not literally edges, but they're your cut lines of your UV shell. Okay, that's the distinction. These guys. Okay, it has nothing to do with your models model edges. It has to do with your shell edges. Okay, this thing right here. If you ever get bored, annoyed with it, just uncheck it. Okay. So all you need to know is this, sometimes this, and always have this on. That's it. And then later on, it's gonna be this. This is gonna be important later on. Anyway, so we're done with that. I think I'm okay with that. You know what? Let me do something. Let me just experiment. It's good to experiment. So this is our cut line. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna select this edge. All right, I'm in edges mode, and I'm gonna experiment. And I'm just gonna continue my cut. Okay, I'm gonna continue my. God damn it. Okay. You can press Q to get rid of that your handle when it's getting in your way. Okay, see this right here? See that? This means that it ends right here. Right here, see? So it's kind of bad. See right there? It's good. It would have been good to have it cut across. Right? See how it kind of abruptly terminates, and you can't get a clean cut line for sewing. So you may want to touch that up, which I'll do it right now. It's just good to show, at the moment adjustments. Right click object mode, shift right click multi-cut tool. I'm gonna cut put here. I'm gonna cut across here because I'm looking for a mid cut line, and I'm gonna, oh, this is gonna be confusing. I'm gonna cut across here. Okay, see, it doesn't look like much, but you'll see. I'm gonna do that. All right, and then it added it here. Okay, it just added it. This, see that right there? See, it just added it. So this is good to show what's happening and how UVs interact with edges and new edges. So I made a cut line, okay, because I want to make then see, now you have to contend with cleaning things up. This here, I want to delete that. I'm just gonna press delete, and see, it's gone. See, before, after, see, it's gone. And I want to move this right here forward. Right. See, when you move the vertex though, your UV does not move. Right. So that's another thing to be aware of. When you move your vertex, when you're learning, you'd assume that the UV would move, but it does not. Right. So that's another good learning lesson. So I'm looking around. God, this is nasty. Oh, okay, this needs to cut across. It needs a plane. See, I'll get that. I'm gonna delete that, and then from there, here. Right, so this is good to show. It has to do with UVs and modeling. Right, so you'll see where I'm going at, like why I went through all that trouble. Okay. As you can see, I made a face. You don't have to necessarily do this, but just to show. All right. Oof. All right. See, now I can go and tuck this out. See what I just did? See this and this? You see these guys? And now same thing happens. I equalized it. So if you're really serious about your project model and everything else about it, you would end up doing this just to clean it up. So yeah, and this is not the best too. You know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna clean it up. Okay. And this right here. Oh, but I didn't do that the other side. I'll just show this right now. Okay, so this is what you do. Just don't mind me right now. So what I'm doing is, it was necessary to make these because this is your midline, right? Like I taught you guys about modeling, where you need your major midline. It corresponds with UV mapping, because UV mapping, it will look for that midline for your major cut seams. I'm gonna merge that. Yeah. Okay. So this will happen a lot too, where you find things that should be corrected during your process, and then right. Okay, see right here. You see my white line? See? Now I have that, and I can cut across like that. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna stop. I need to stop. Alright, I'll stop now. Okay, yeah, now I'm gonna stop. Okay, stop. Yeah, okay, so why did I do that? Well, now we have this major seam line, but it needs to cut. Oh, damn it. Yeah, it's good to show this, right? Because to understand what to look for your UVs and for your model in general. So now you have your major cut line. This right here is your major midline, okay? And it should help out with your UV mapping afterwards. So you did all of that. Okay, the skin is still here, the shell, right? See, that's still the shell, everything's intact. Oh, except for that. Well, it's okay. Still got one massive shell. It's fine. And then, but you have to lay out again. So you have that selected, unfold. Okay, and it did that. And then I'm gonna continue and cut this. I'm gonna select. Okay, I'm gonna experiment and I'm gonna cut the dot so you can move across quicker, like that. So I did that. Okay, this here up to here is up to here. This is where I was kind of worried about. You see how that all of this is squished, and I'm just looking to open that up. Click. I hold on shift and I double click on that edge to further continue cutting up sections at a time. Anyway, so from here you notice this. So this is good to show and teach. the corresponding what is happening, and I'm going to shift right click, cut. Cut that. See that line? Then I'm going to select it. Is that selecting over there? I'm going to go unfold. See? There you go. See? Now you see you can see it better, right? And that was possible because I was able to cut across here like that. Okay? I could cut across here and here, but that's going to make another massive cut line like that, and it'll make it so that there's a seam, and whereas it's only a seam up to here. You could go in, you could grab this, right, and shift right click and sew. See? And sewed it up right there. You saw that? Before it was white, but now it's not. And you could go in here and you can go and sew. See? And now it's only up to here, but your finger is filleted out. Right now I'm in UV mode. I can grab and stretch it open, so this is good to show too the process of the work. Right? See how I did that? Now you can visually see what is happening and understandable. So I'm gonna grab all of that. I'm just gonna unfold. Ooh, that's not good. I don't like that. Don't let it crush into each other. Maybe I have to go optimize. So you can unfold for one massive hit, and then you can optimize. Optimize kind of cleans it up, but look what's happening. That's not good. So I'm gonna unfold. Okay, that. So it's either unfold. It's unfold and then optimize, but you want to stop after a certain point because it just doesn't work after a while. So this is okay, as long as it doesn't intersect, it's fine. So there you go. So there's that. So that was a good demo experience, right? And yeah. And let's say you lay this out, and then you decide, oh, you know what? I don't like this the way this looks. I'm gonna go and move my vertices. The moment you start moving your vertices, these lines, these UVs are non and void. For example, I do this, right? Right. Now those UVs, they're not the same. Okay, and I'll show. The way you can see that they're not the same is you have to apply a UV grid, which I'm going to show right now. Okay, so I did that, and you have to basically select it again, all your dots. Okay, will it be dots or edges or faces? Probably just your UV dots. Okay, make sure you grab all of it, then unfold. See, that's all you gotta do. And if it's overlapping, you go in and just kind of move it a bit. Yeah, that's all you do. But anytime you update the mesh, make sure to go in and unfold your that specific shell section. All right. And then same thing. I'm gonna leave that part alone because I don't want to go in and start adding again, adding more edges. I'm gonna do this thigh and foot right here. So I need to be in edges because I'm gonna do a cut. All right, I'm gonna click. Right, I wrapped all the way around. Okay, that's this part right here. Then you gotta do shift right click within your UV editor. Shift right click and cut. See what that did? Right, which you can see because of this. On off your seam line or your UV shell. And then I'm gonna go to my select and select UV shell. Like I said, select it in chunks. Okay. Then I'm gonna go and start. Quick one you could do is just cut out your underneath footprint. So I'm gonna hide my grid. It's annoying me right now. Hide the grid. The grid right here. This one right there. And I'm gonna also turn off this. I'm just gonna go to edge mode. Okay. Edge mode. Double click. Double click. Double click. Double click. Double click. double click, make sure you get the entire cutout you want. Okay, so from here, shift right click, cut, right? And don't just yank it, right? Your instinct is just going to try to yank it, but don't, right? You're going to go to your UV shell mode, just move that. Okay, then you can just grab this, and now you can go close that, go to unfold, unfold tab, unfold. Then you can optimize, or you could grab it as a UV dots and unfold, same thing. Optimize, doesn't do much else, and that's it. Then you can kind of rotate it like that, right? Then for your foot slash thigh, okay, you're gonna want to cut it open, you know? So maybe I'll cut along this seam, here to here, okay, just that section. Shift right click, cut. All right, then we'll just UV, go to UV, select it, unfold. There you go. And you could optimize, kind of does that a couple of times maybe, not doesn't really matter. And then you can just lay it out like that. All right. Something like that maybe, and then you could. The scaling is kind of weird though. The scale, you see that? I think it needs to be bigger, which you'll know how big to scale it, but you need to apply a UV grid, right? So anyway, I did all of that. It's the same process for the other side of foot. And let me just grab this, move this out of the way. You grab that, you're gonna move it here. You're gonna grab your arm, move it over here. I'm not gonna do that one yet. Grab this one, move it here. Grab this one, move it here. And you're gonna organize it so that I'm gonna select by shell. It's quicker that way. Select that shell, move it out of the way. Right, and then grab this, move that here, grab that. This has to be enlarged, but I'm gonna show you the UV grid. I'm gonna grab that, make it smaller for now. You can't just randomly make things smaller or bigger, which is why I need to show you how to apply the UV grid texture and why. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like that. So that's for the next video. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Next video is gonna be to talk about the UV grid, to attach the UV grid to the shader ball, okay, and have that shader ball linked to your mesh, and what to do correspondingly regarding the scaling of your shells, because the UV grid will help to dictate if a shell is too small, or if the shell is too big, or if the shell is stretching too much. Okay, so that's 48 minutes. That should be a lot. All right, bye.